Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ryan, and it is Sunday, May 1st. And I thought I would go through a few stocks I'm watching tomorrow from a swing standpoint. You know, some of these may turn into day trades, but the setups are based on daily and weekly charts for swings. And thought I'd get through this before the Miami-Boston basketball game that I wanted to watch. And then later tonight, I'll put out a video on the latest Stock Twits 50 list and the IBD 50 list. So expect a couple more blogs from me today. So let me run through it. This list is comprised of stocks that I ran a screen on under $20. So all these are under 20 with average daily volume of at least 300K over the last month or so. Maybe 250. I may have done a 250K scan. So a lot of the stocks that pop intraday that we find are actually low float stocks traded very thinly. You know, they might be 200K or so, or 150K, and then they get a big day and move 20% up on 2 million in volume. So those don't show up on these screens. I'm looking for stocks with more volume from a swing standpoint. Intraday is a different story, but from a swing, definitely looking for volume to sustain it. Okay, AAV. Actually, let me start at the top of the list. Sorry, we'll get to AAV. MHR, top of the list. It's an oil and gas. It's got trend line support on the bottom side. It's now facing horizontal resistance. So the trading range is closing or compacting, if you will. Nice volume on Friday. MACD looks to be wanting to cross EMA 9 pretty soon. We had a nice momentum push Thursday and Friday to push momentum above 0, and above 100. And we also saw an ADX cross. You can barely see it here, which is often a bullish sign as well. So watch MHR. It needs to continue this volume strength and hopefully push through horizontal resistance. And you know, I'm considering swinging it above this horizontal area, and then I'll have to watch what happens at the 865 range or so to see if I need to either take some off the table, or continue to hold it if the buyers are still in, because you have to always watch what's happening at the next resistance level to help determine whether you need to take some off the table, take everything off the table, and if it gets through resistance with volume, you may even consider adding to your position and moving up your stops. So those are things that just run through your mind as as a trade approaches resistance level. But MHR is on watch. ATPG, Friday was really the best trade as it got out of this little kind of choppy consolidation range, busted through this descending trend line. I put it on here just because maybe there's going to be more out of it, because there is a lot of upside potential here. If you're not in it yet, which I missed it myself, you might want to wait on a SMA 50 cross, which would be up around $18 tomorrow. I do like the Bollinger Band. Notice how the Bollinger Bands have waved down and have consolidated. So this could be another leg up, and we'll just have to see if it can push the top of this Bollinger Band and push through SMA 50, and if so, with this kind of volume, this is what you'll need, obviously, is increased volume. Then ATPG will definitely be one to watch from a swing standpoint. CERS, it's a pretty simple setup through horizontal resistance. There's a lot of it here. You might want to trade it a little safer and wait for it to get through SMA 200, which is just above, because if it gets through horizontal resistance here, it could just fail right above it at SMA 200. I like the tight Bollinger Bands that are attempting to open. I like Friday's volume. I like the positive MACD cross through 0. Okay, momentum's strong. You had a positive ADX cross the other day, so CERS looks pretty good. I will probably wait on an SMA 200 cross, but it's one to put on the list for sure. GMXR, I've been burned on this one in the past, but I'm just watching this box that is creating right now, this trading range. right here, and we'll keep an eye on it through this top side. You know that I think probably the best way to look at it is a move through 6. I would watch for the volume. You know, the indicators below are starting to turn north, turn back up, so it definitely has a chance to leg back up and get you up to about 650 or so. So that wouldn't be a bad return at all. But I think watch this box area, and if it comes out of it, watch for buyers to come in, and then maybe participate. You know, half position or so. That's the way I'm going to look at it. Is go in a little light just to confirm this move is going. And if volume continues, I may add to it, may not, but it's one to watch for sure. UTSI, what can I say? It looks like it wants to go somewhere. The only reason it may just sit here for a while is look how wide this Bollinger Band spread is from here down to here. That setup is not very indicative of a breakout about to happen. But it's one to watch. It'll probably be more of a scalp trade. They'll probably have one of these kind of days here pretty soon, where it's big volume and it just goes a little crazy on us. You know, everybody starts tweeting about it and things like that. You notice the MACD, the dark blue line is running under EMA 8 at quite a distance, and not really a lot of interest in closing that gap. So, you know, it's not the best setup, even though it looks like it is because it's tight. So it's not an entry. It's really not an entry for me yet. If it gets over 260 with volume, you know, maybe I'll consider it. But the wide Bollinger Band really concerns me. But this is definitely a volume play. This one's going to be run and controlled by volume intraday. Hopefully this week we'll see what happens. CRBC. I'm just watching this descending trend line. It's under $1, so I'm not really interested in swinging it, even though I have it on my swing watch list. We'll see whether I do want to swing it toward the end of the day if I own it. You know, we'll look at how the strength looks at the end, if it's finishing near highs, what the volume looks like, things like that. But it's on the watch list because we have kind of a symmetrical triangle. We can call it a triangle because it's kind of consolidating down on its price range here. And a move out of this, you know, about 93, 94. It doesn't mean automatically jump in. It means look at the volume, look at the interest, look at the sector, look at the regionals, regional banks, see how things are going, and you know might get a good move out of CRBC this week. VVTV, I'm just looking for a move through this descending trend line. Nice volume on Friday. Did close above SMA 50. I like that. What I do like also is that very tight Bollinger Bands in Friday's close was actually slightly above. If you can see that, slightly above the Bollinger Band right here. And if the volume continues, and you can see the momentum is starting to pick up, if the volume continues, it should start opening this Bollinger Band and push through this resistance level and take it up to about the 750 range or so on the swing. So definitely one to keep an eye on. I worry about a head fake, a move through the resistance level, and then a pull back. So I would maybe wait on it a little bit on a move through this trend line and see what it does. You know, let it come back, let it consolidate. You know, don't get too eager, in other words. But it looks pretty good. It looks like one to watch. AAV. I like this chart a lot. It's a little thinly traded on Friday, but that's okay. It's consolidating right now. You can see how tight the trading range is. It's kind of smashed between SMA 50, which is a white dotted line, and the front-weighted moving average, which is this orange dotted line, or EMA 21. You can see the blue line. What I like about this stock is you can see in the past that this EMA 21 has acted as strong support. Even on these days, it didn't spend much time below it. And then finally, over the last month, it's been spending a lot of time just below it, building out this little triangle below. And, you know, but it's still in an uptrend with SMA 50 support, right? You still have the SMA 50 support, which is basically its bottom on this uptrend. So, you know, you want to watch this as a potential bottom. You know, I called out PQ last week. I think it was Thursday or Friday, saying the same thing. You have these nice long swings inside of a channel, And you find these bottoms that hold consistently, like SMA 100, SMA 100, and then you look for the turn, and we got the turn on Friday. So PQ was a great trade on Friday to enter as a swing. So congrats if you got that. But oh, sorry. Let me go. What was it? There we go. AAV. So AAV is kind of a similar thing. You know, you kind of got this meandering stock that's moving up, but now it's kind of hanging out on the bottom of support. But the indicators are starting to turn. MACD looks like it's trying to hold zero. It could turn back up. Momentum's moved through 100. So if this moves through EMA 21 tomorrow, I may consider a swing with an SMA 50 stop. I don't want to hold this below SMA 50, right? Because that would basically break the idea. Maybe a penny or two below, because because of stops. But below SMA 50 is the trend is officially broken. So keep an eye on AAV. HMY, it's the setup is fairly obvious, just looking for a breakout. The only thing that kind of disturbs me, that concerns me a little bit, is that on Friday, the MACD, even with this move, a 6% move, didn't come across its EMA 9. So if it does break above, we really need to confirm volume and confirm that it holds this horizontal level. That will be support at that point. And it could very easily go up, come back down, consolidate, kind of chop around here. So you have to be careful if you buy this breakout. You might want to set a stop 10 cents below this horizontal support, something like that, because based on the MACD, it's likely to break out, come back and test, and then maybe move back up. So pop, drop, and pop. I do like the very tight Bollinger Bands. That gives it more likely the possibility that this will break and just keep going. So I'd probably consider a medium position on the breakout, and if it continues with strength, I might add to it and then raise my stop. Something to consider. CRME, I'm just watching the bull flag. This candle on Thursday kind of concerns me a little bit, but it's just a bull flag that I'm watching, keeping an eye on decreasing volume, which means people aren't really sure what to do with it yet. But if it gets over 550, I think it's in play, or it could be in play. Click. Let's see if I can draw this line without it crashing on me. You have descending trend line, very obvious, very strong. I like that Friday had nice volume and it finished just above SMA 50, so it's now testing this descending trend line. MACD looks like it's about set up to do a positive cross of zero. Momentum looks strong. Click is one to watch. I like this stock through descending trend line. Again, maybe a medium position to start off, and if it continues to move, then maybe add to that position and raising stops, because as you add, obviously you're putting more risk on the table, so you have to make sure that your stops raise along or move up along with it. Your first target's always going to be the top of the trend line, so 1063, but it looks good. Right now, it's in a descending or a descending channel, if you will, right? It's kind of drifting down. And what it could easily do is say, I'm at the top of the channel, I'm kind of done with it, in reverse. So we really do need confirmation above this channel, and we need that with volume. And that's why I say I wouldn't go in too heavy if it gets above, because it could do just like it did down here when it got out of the channel. It says, yeah, I'm out of the channel, but I don't like being out of the channel, and it comes right back. So good one to watch, good one to step into potentially if it comes out of this channel, because that's a long-term downward channel that it may have a hard time saying, okay, I'm ready to start a new trend in a new direction. So keep an eye on that. UMC, I like UMC for a couple of reasons. Obviously, we're looking for a trend line test, right? The Bollinger Bands are fairly tight. But what I like the most about it is it finished on the high on Friday, on its high. And I like this volume. Look at the volume coming in on this semiconductor play. There's some good accumulation last week, really strong accumulation last week. And, we do have a lot of resistance above. We have SMA 200, we have SMA 100. It is in a negative environment from that standpoint, But we have a positive MACD trying to happen. Momentum did break through 100. ADX is positively crossed. Um, I think it's definitely one worth watching, especially at this price point. It could just take off on us. So I'm going to watch it really closely tomorrow, and I will announce any buys into this. But I'm looking for an entry probably about that 286, 287 range, and then just got to really keep an eye on SMA 200. I may have to get out right there and only take home some lunch money, maybe a little gas money for my car. But UMC, nice volume accumulation on a descending trend line, definitely worth keeping an eye on. PDS, it's just a nice, strong, steady uptrend. Not a lot to say here other than look for either a pullback to EMA 21. You notice that it's held support there in the past, right? Or look for a breakout above. If you look at the indicators, they tend to be getting a little bit top heavy, if you will. So PDS is not one I would just jump into at any sign of strength. I would need a true breakout, but I'd really like to see. I would like to be in this stock. I mean, look at this steady, clean, low risk. It's kind of got that kind of stress-free environment going. So I would like to potentially get in this as a swing, but it needs to pull back or it needs to break out. Right now it's in neutral land. It's just sitting on EMA 8, which is very neutral. It needs to be above or below, right, to show the trend. And Thursday and Friday's volume, not very impressive. You see more distribution bars. So someone asked me about PDS the other day because it has a nice steady uptrend. It does, but it's about getting the right entry, which I would like to see it in the 14s or break out over 16. One of the two. FTK, I think I'm actually still holding a piece of this. People ask me all the time, what positions are you in? What are you holding? You can always access it on our site from the trading floor. There's a link in the sub-navigation bar. It says Urban Rhinos Trades. I keep it up to date. I usually update it within 10-15 minutes at the most after I make the trade alert in the Boom Factory. It's not automated, so I have to go in there later and update it. But I usually do it the same day, 10 or 15 minutes later. And you can see what trades I'm in. You can see right now what trades I'm actively in by clicking on Urban Rhinos Trades on the trading floor. FTK, I like it. Nice volume accumulation days. You have decreasing volume on this kind of set up against the ceiling, if you will. It's got nice EMA 8 support. You can see that every time it gets down or right below it, it just wants to come back. So it looks good. I like this stock. We had a nice momentum bounce off 100 on Friday. So, pretty straightforward trade. Look for a breakthrough of 975. I'd probably go in half position to confirm, and then wait to confirm the breakout is real. I'm talking about the safer approach, right? You can go in full, you can do whatever you want to do, but safer approach is go in half to confirm that the breakout is real, and then add to it with strength and tighten up that stock as you increase your exposure, right? Okay, Cisco. I know it's hard to believe that I would put Cisco in here. It's been a turd for quite some time, but that often means it's time to buy, right? It's just a bottom feeding kind of look at a stock right now. Massive volume on Friday. If it gets above SMA 50, the white dotted line, I might play some option calls, right? With that kind of volume, I'm sure there's good call volume, and I'd probably play like June 19. I'd have to look at it, but I don't think it's necessarily a good trade from a straight equity trade, swing equity. But maybe a day or two, or intraday call option, you might be able to get a couple points out of there. But I was just, the volume showed up on Friday, and SMA 50 could be something that opens it up for at least a little bit. We'll see what happens. ARNA, SMA 50, watch for it. It's printing tiny little dojis, which is really attractive, which means it doesn't have a decision, doesn't know what to do with itself. You look back here, You see all these little dojis printing after a move, right? It's like I don't know what to do with myself, and then look what it did. So it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but the indicators are, you look at the strength in some of these from a relative standpoint. RSI is really coming back. We have a positive MACD setting up. We're already positive on ADX. Momentum's kind of flat right now. It needs volume to. Momentum has a lot of volume behind it. So I'm looking for a move above SMA 50. So let's look at the white dotted line here, right? So 150. You can try to get in ahead of time if you want to, but I think that's a little risky. The safer trade is wait for the 150 break. It'll start generating a lot of chatter at that point, and look for the volume. And maybe it's going to happen. ICO is always a good trade. I don't know why I don't play this more often. Every time it comes down to SMA 50, you think it's going to fail SMA 50, like right here, for example, and it just comes back. So I'm mad at myself for not playing that on Friday. But anyway, now it's a breakout setup as opposed to a reversal setup. You have nice, obvious horizontal support, horizontal resistance. You need volume. Let's break through it and go from there. So ICO, watch the whole sector. Watch all the was this coal? Watch all the coal stocks and see if it carries it with it. But I love the tight trading range. And I like the horizontal resistance. We could definitely go somewhere from here. Okay, so now I'm getting into stocks that were on my list that may not be set up anymore. So we're just going to run through them real fast and see if they are. Sonic was, I mentioned this last week as watch it for a move on a trade through SMA 100. You can see the resistance there. Very much congratulations to you if you played this fairly obvious setup through SMA 100. You would have obviously held on to it as it crept up. And Friday would have been a good day to take some profits as it hits against horizontal resistance up here. So Sonic was a good trade, but no longer set up for a new entry. MVIS, I think I'm in this one, maybe not. I like it. It looks good. It may make a run this week. Good volume on Friday. Good MACD. Yeah, the indicators are strong. This one has a lot of strong stuff underneath the hood. It's a very volatile stock. You can see some of these moves are kind of crazy, but so now that should just tell you to keep an eye on it. Keep it close. Keep your eye on it very close. It's probably more of a scalp than a really long-term swing, but you might be able to swing it a couple days. But you're in a nice little bull flag here. Would like to see a break over 160 to get things really exciting. And then we'll have to watch it at 170, the SMA 100, to see how if the buy interest comes in. Because you've noticed in the past, SMA 100 has offered resistance, offered support, and then once it failed it had some problems. So SMA 100 might come back into play. But MVIS is definitely one to keep an eye on still. ARIA kind of failed the breakout, but that's okay. We got to keep watching. The Bollinger Bands are tight. It could still go. That could be a pop, drop, and pop. So keep an eye on ARIA. If you want to be really safe, you wait for it to break through the top of Friday's high. QTM, I'm in this one. I think a lot of us are in this one. When I look back on it, or when I look at it now, your initial thought is that's a good looking setup. You kind of got a little triangle sitting on SMA 100. It could boom any day. You have some accumulation days. The indicators below were pretty good. The only thing that makes me a little hesitant on the strength of this setup, if I was right every time, I'd be a bazillionaire. But that's not. I'm just going to give you some feedback on what I'm looking at. This looks good, right? We're looking at a triangle, some consolidation, which in everybody's mind means it could rip any second now. We have huge volume. But MACD's getting a little heavy already, which is interesting that it would get heavy on Friday's 2% move on good volume. So that's a little interesting. So that's something I'm watching for. That doesn't mean we're in bad shape yet. But really the main thing that concerns me is we have really wide Bollinger Bands here. Um, it doesn't look. It's hard to really break out on wide Bollinger Bands, but it can. It's not that it won't, but it can. Um, and we have this gap to deal with that I'm a little concerned about right here, right? And right now we're kind of in the middle of it. Let me draw some line or get out the pointer, the crosshairs. So the top of this triangle, okay, which is this candle here, is in the middle of the gap, middle of this box, right? So we've been fighting this whole time just to get halfway through a gap fill. Usually gap fills fill pretty quickly once they get entered, once you enter them. And that's what it looked like was going to happen here, right? You entered the gap fill, and that was supposed to keep going and fill the gap. But for some reason, it hasn't done that. So, yeah, it might. If it gets above 332, then that means it's working on the second half of the gap, and it could very well bust through it with, like crazy. Right now, there's internal resistance. This is hard to see in this chart, but you can feel it, so to speak. But I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. I'll sell it at 332. I'll sell some at 332 if we get there. I don't want to hold it probably below EMA 8. And, we hope for the best on this one, but it's just not quite. Even though it looks like it wants to be there, it's just not quite there yet. But we're playing and we're having fun with it. CIGX, obvious setup. We talked about it last week. Made a great move on Friday. It's not really on my list for a swing setup anymore, but it could continue to go up, and I'll look for intraday trades on it. PVX was one I mentioned last week. If you're in it, then you're in it. It's a good swing from here. Nice tight Bollinger Bands opening up. I'd set a stop. For me, I'd probably have it around EMA 8 or so, which is the yellow line every time I refer to that. It did okay on Friday. Bollinger Bands are still opening. Still in play. Taser, still hanging out on that bull flag. Watch for a break of 450. PQ, we already went over. That was last week's. OPK, it's kind of got a bull flag. Volume is low, which is good on consolidation. MACD, we got a positive MACD cross. I think OPK still has a chance to go, okay? So keep an eye on it. We have a little horizontal resistance up at 419, but 398 to 419 is not a bad move. But this one's going to just need volume. This one's going to have someone's going to have to come in with some interest and take it through 405. But it could definitely still go. The Bollinger Bands are tight but opening, which is a good sign. So keep OPK on your list. I had it last week, but let's keep it on there. HYC. Oh boy, this is such a great looking uptrend. I keep battling this one. I still haven't been able to get in it. I guess SMA 50 was support after all on these two candles here. But I'm waiting for this horizontal resistance breakout still. FTR looks pretty good. Still, this was the last week's setup. I'm basing it off this candle for the high of this consolidation range, which is where we are now. So above 830, you might consider this a trade. With all this volume, you may have a hard time getting it through SMA 200 up here at 850 range. I mean, this stock traded 8.5 million. But not a bad swing. If you consider entering in this, I might consider a stop at SMA 50 just in case it doesn't hold above it anymore. If it gets below SMA 50, it's completely lost its mojo to move above. So, FTR is not too bad. CNO failed breakout on Friday. You got to keep an eye on it. Watch it on Monday. Since it failed on Friday, you need more confirmation on Monday, which means either go in smaller on the breakout or let it break out and actually close for the day and then trade it the next day, right? Because it looks like it's trying to build out a channel. I like CNO. I think overall it looks pretty good. It's just finding the right entry. If it doesn't break above support or resistance tomorrow, you could see a fail back down. Okay, so keep an eye on it. AONE, Bollinger Bands are still tightening up. I would just put an alert on EMA 20 or EMA 21 and see what happens above it. Still has volume. Um, yeah, I'd still keep an eye on it. It looks like more like 615 or 20 will be more of an entry than where we are right now. Fig was a good entry on Friday. Um, if you're in it to win it, good job. It looks like we may have more swing to the upside. I like the volume. I like the accumulation. I like everything below. Um, just keep a stop that's comfortable for you. You're looking for 680 on your target. So just manage your stop. If do the math and say, does EMA 8 make sense for me, which is 599? What does that do to my account? What is that, a $400 loss, $1,000 loss? Just trail this stop up a little bit. Don't get it too close; it immediately stops out. But it's broken through resistance, and hopefully it'll continue up. Right? If it fails below, then consider your stop and move on to another trade, and don't worry about losing 50 bucks. All right, NKTR was another one I had on the watch list. I was watching this trading range that is now out of. So it was an entry on Friday from a swing standpoint. Again, like a couple others, it's below SMA 100 and SMA 200, so it has plenty of resistance to deal with. But you notice it's been in such a long downtrend that this is actually a very impressive consolidation with move on Friday. If you're not in it, yeah, you might want to just wait on SMA 100 at this point, right? Okay. BGCP, it tried to break on Friday. Horizontal resistance, it's just kind of sitting there. I would wait on a little bit. I like the Bollinger Bands here, though. It's not bad, but it needs more confirmation. I might just let it close an entire day, finish an entire day to prove that it wants to stay above. Let's see. Sorry, I have a lot on here today. Because a lot of these I'm going through from last week. CHTP, just watch for it to break out of that triangle. Katie, it's neutral land. It's not a trade yet. Watch to see what happens if it pulls back to trendline support or break out above this descending trend line. For now, it's just a watch. COWN, same story. Watch for it to break out above or below. Kirk's was a trade last week. Congrats if you got it. Friday may have been a sell based on this hammer, but it's no longer a setup, so I'm going to remove it. PDC, I mentioned, and it looks like it's done exactly what I was hoped for, or at least so far. This broke through resistance, came back, is testing horizontal support, and hopefully is starting to take another leg up. This is a tough trade because you want to hold it above this support, but you really don't want it much below. So if you're in there, you might want to look at SMA 20 or EMA 21 as possible stop. Do you manage your own risk on that? But this is the horizontal support that we're really caring about. RAIM, another fake breakout. It tried to get through the descending trend line. Good sign that it was going to be a fake breakout. It didn't have good volume. You need this kind of stuff to happen before it happens, before the trend line gets taken out. I still have it on my watch list though. If this thing goes, I'm in it. It may just be a scalp. Tyson has just been a great swing. If you've held it, I've mentioned it all the time. It's just a slow and steady. If you're not in it, wait for it to get through horizontal resistance at 20. ES. It doesn't look as good as it did before, but the Bollinger Bands are tight. Watch for a move through EMA 21. You may be able to get in there for a swing up to 6. You're going to have to manage this one pretty closely because it may head fake on you. Some of these indicators are turning the wrong way. It's kind of a mixed signal under the hood. PRGN. I was looking for a break of SMA 50 with a white dotted line. We printed a red candle on Friday, which is not impressive. Still on the watch list. Could still happen, but it needs to prove it to me a little bit more. I want volume. I want a close above SMA 50 before I buy it. And the last one I had from a recap, CYTK, just watching. It's running sideways. Bollinger Bands are rolling sideways. Absolutely nothing to do here until maybe 160, in my opinion. All right, well, that's it. I covered new ones at the beginning of this video that you might want to watch that are under 20 bucks, and I recapped some of last week's setups. Um, that ought to do it. Keep an eye on StockTwits 50 and IBD 50 videos coming up later. Have a good Sunday.